Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and boys, you are listening to the Friends World YouTube channel here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my 2019 NFL predictions. We're going to go through every game on the schedule from week 1 all the way to Super Bowl. I'm going to predict the NFL season. With that being said, guys, I want to let you guys know really quick that because Google Hangouts is no longer available, I'm using a free program called Screencast-O-Matic to record this. And with their free program, they only allow 15 minutes of recording a screen at a time, which means therefore this clip is going to be edited into probably 4 or 5 15-minute segments. So if you guys see the countdown timer, I don't know if you can see the countdown timer, but if you can, just know that it's going to change every time I change to a new recording. We'll probably get about 2 or 3 weeks done in each recording. With that being said, guys, this is going to be documented. I will review these picks at the end of the year, just like I will with my baseball picks in a couple weeks. And sit back, enjoy the ride, and let's go through and see who's going to be the best team in the NFL this season. First game on the docket. As we see, we got the Titans and the Browns. Look, you guys know how I feel about the Browns. I think it's very important they get off to a good start. I think Tennessee is a very well-coached team. I think this team is going to be closer than people think. But I got the Browns winning this game. Now, for the second game, we got Baltimore and Miami. I'm going to pick Baltimore. Look, I know Fitzmagic is hot early in the year, but Miami, we just see they're going for a total rebuild. I don't know if they're even going to win a game this year, so I got the Ravens. Next, we got Chiefs at the Jaguars, and this is interesting because Nick Foles playing his former team. Jacksonville can obviously match up with Kansas City's weapons defensively, but offensively, I don't think Jacksonville has the weapons. Andy Reid's always a fast starter. I got Kansas City winning this game. But with the Jets, I'm going to go and pick the Jets. 2 young quarterbacks in Sam Darnold and Josh Allen. I think the Jets are the better overall team. I think they win. Now, Colts at Chargers. I think Jacoby Brissett going into that atmosphere first game. I think it's going to be tough. I know it's going to be a home game for the Colts, but that Charger pass rush against that Colts offensive line, I think the Chargers had the advantage here at quarterback with Philip Rivers over Jacoby Brissett. If Andrew Luck was playing, I'd probably consider taking the Colts, but nah, I got the Chargers. Week 1, we got Pittsburgh at New England. Now, New England always owns Pittsburgh. I know New England's always a slow starter, but they own Pittsburgh. I'm going to pick the Patriots. Denver at Oakland. I think Oakland's going to be improved a little bit this year, so I got Oakland winning this game at home in the late Monday night game. Cincinnati at Seattle. I got Seattle winning this game. And then, Saints and Texans. That's a Monday night game. Texans just got the left tackle in Jordan Brown. They got Deshaun Watson. They got all the talent. I think the Saints are going to be, a little bit of a pullback team this year. I think this is going to be one of my upsets this week. I got Houston going on the road and beating New Orleans. Green Bay at Chicago opening night. I think Green Bay's better. I think Chicago takes a little step back this year. However, I think opening night, Bears fans are going to be pumped. Revenge from last year's opening night. I got the Bears winning at home. Eagles and Skins. I'll take my Birds. I think that we're just going to go all over Case Keenum. Now, LA at Carolina. I don't trust Cam Newton's health. And I think that the Rams are overall better than the Panthers. I'll take the Rams. Falcons at the Vikings. This is an interesting game because, these are 2 teams that have really good potential in the NFC, but these are 2 teams that can also fall flat on their face in the NFC. I do like Matt Ryan over Kirk Cousins. I'm going to go with Atlanta here in a big win. San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians' opening start could be good. Jimmy G, we don't know how he's going to play coming right out of the gate. I think Tampa Bay's defense is okay. I think they have more weapons than San Francisco. I think I'm going to pick Tampa Bay at home here. Detroit at Arizona, I think week 1. I think Kyler Murray comes out to a boring start, and I think Arizona wins. Regardless of whether they have Zeke or not, I think the Cowboys can beat the Giants, so I do think the Cowboys win week 1 at 425. So that is week 1. Now let's go to week 2, and I apologize if you see me lag or anything. It is my computer. All right, New England at Miami. I'm going to take the Patriots. Jacksonville at Houston. Now, this is a big game. Again, I like Houston better than Jacksonville. I don't think Nick Foles is going to be able to carry Jacksonville like people think. So I got Houston winning this game. Indianapolis at Tennessee. As much as I like Jacoby Brissett, Tennessee never beat Andrew Luck. They're a well-coached team. They're at home. Unfortunately, I got the Colts starting 0-2. Chiefs at the Raiders. Now, let's see. What time is this game? We'll pull it up. Okay, it's a 4 o'clock game. I was wondering if it was a Sunday night game or not. Oh, yeah, Philly Atlanta is a Sunday night game. My bad. So, AC Oakland. You know what? Andy Reid always gets out to a fast start. I don't think Oakland has the defensive personnel to stop Kansas City. I think it's going to be close, but I got Kansas City winning. Browns and Jets on the Monday Nighter. This is the game I've told you for years. Greg Williams coming back as the defensive coordinator. I told you guys since it started. Jets are winning that game. San Francisco at Cincinnati. Look, I think Cincinnati might be one of the worst teams in the league this year. I think Jimmy G comes off playing better. They go to the East Coast, and they do get that win. Buffalo at the Giants. I got Josh Allen getting his first win of the year. Chargers going to Detroit. Now, the Chargers, that West Coast, East Coast travel always concerns me. Could be a trap game, but they're way better than the Lions, and I got them winning this game. Battle of the running quarterbacks here in Arizona and Baltimore. I think Baltimore's got the better team. I will pick Baltimore. Seattle at Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's better than Seattle. Seattle traveling west to east coast. There's a lot of teams traveling west to east coast in week 2. I got Pittsburgh winning that game. Denver is always tough. In September, at home, Vic Fangio. Like I said, I don't know if Chicago's going to be used to that Denver air. I'm going to pick Denver at home. Thursday night game, Tampa Bay at Carolina. I'll pick Carolina at home. I think this is kind of a wild card, kind of toss-up. But I think Carolina is better than Tampa Bay. I'll pick Carolina. Minnesota at Green Bay. I think Matt LaFleur gets his first win as head coach of the Green Bay Packers here. I got the Cowboys beating the Redskins. I have the Rams beating the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be too emotional in this game once again. So I will pick the Rams. And then we have the Eagles and Falcons, which is a tough game for my Birds to play. But I'm going to stick to my guns originally, and I'm going to say the Eagles walk out on Sunday Night Football. Doug Peterson out-coaches Dan Quinn. We win by a field goal, and the Birds start off 2-0. Let's go to week 3. Tennessee at Jacksonville on a Thursday night. Now, I feel like Doug Marrone and crew are going to want to pick up their first win, and they are on Thursday night. Duval pick up their first win of the year. And so you guys can see the AFC South is starting off to a little bit of a weak start besides Houston. Cincinnati against Buffalo. I'm going to pick Buffalo here. Again, I like Buffalo a little bit better than most people think this year. I think Josh Allen develops a little bit. I think they win somewhere between 7 and 8 games probably. Baltimore at Kansas City. I got Kansas City again with another win. Jets at the Patriots. I think this is closer than people think, but I'm still going to pick New England. Houston at the Chargers. Let's see. This is the 4:25 game on Sunday. I think the Chargers just are just overall better defensively in the secondary. I think these two teams are very well evenly matched, though, and I got the Chargers winning this game. As much as I like Jacoby Brissett, I think Atlanta is in for a bounce-back year, and this is a very tough schedule for the Colts to start, and unfortunately, I think they start 0-3. I got Dallas starting off 3-0. They beat Miami. I'll take Green Bay over Denver. Oakland going into Minneapolis. I think the Vikings need this one more. I'm going to pick the Vikings. Pittsburgh Now they go to San Francisco. Now this is an interesting 4:25 game. This could be a very close game. Like I said, I like San Francisco. Pittsburgh going out there. Pittsburgh always seems like they have a funnel early in the year in week 3. I think they come out that win against Seattle, and I'm going to say they take an L here. Now the Rams at the Browns. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pick the Browns in this game. I think the Browns at home, big statement game, and I really feel like the Browns get it done on Sunday Night Football, and they show at least early on they're not going to let the expectations get to them. Lions at the Eagles. I'm going to go ahead and pick my Birds to beat the Lions. I just don't think the Lions are that good this year. New York Giants against Tampa Bay. I am going to go ahead and pick Tampa Bay. I think they're better than the Giants. Carolina at Arizona. That is an interesting game. Will Camden be out he started off his rookie year, first game in Arizona for over 400 yards. Kyler Murray in that Arizona offense. I'm going to go ahead and pick Carolina here on the road. I think they figure out that Kyler offense real quick, and I think Arizona gets off to a slow start. Saints going to Seattle. I think the Saints start off 0-3. I think they have a tough schedule. I think this could be very realistic. They start off 0-3. And then also, Chicago going to Washington on a Monday night. I think Chicago is better. And coming out that loss to Denver, they get another win. And they also go to 2-1 on the year. Alright, moving on to the 4 o'clock Thanksgiving game between the Bills and the Cowboys. Bills are still fighting their playoff lives, but so is Dallas. I think Dallas is better. I think the Cowboys win at home on Turkey Day. I got my Eagles going down to Miami, picking up a win. Tampa Bay at Jacksonville. Now, this is a tough game because, as you can see by Jacksonville's record, they're 3-8 to mid-5-6. They're still kind of in that hunt for the NFC wild card. But I think Jacksonville's defense is pretty good. I think they can shut down the Bucs offense. I got Jacksonville in an upset over Tampa Bay. I got Baltimore beating San Francisco, knocking San Francisco back a little bit, and putting Baltimore trying to at least get them back in AFC wildcard contention. I got the Lions upsetting the Bears on Thanksgiving. Lions always play well on Thanksgiving. As I mentioned before, I think the Saints and Falcons, they always split home and home. I'm going to take Atlanta to get sole control of the NFC South with a victory on Turkey Day in the nightcapper. Green Bay at the Giants. Look, I think the Packers are just better. I think the Giants at this point will be terrible. So will Washington. That's why I think Carolina picks up a win at home, moving them to 6-6 as well. LA and Arizona. Now this is an interesting game because Kyler Murray and that Cardinals offense going up against Sean McVay. Divisional game. Rams still trying to fight for a playoff spot. And you know what? I think that in the Dome, I think that Kyler Murray puts on a show for some reason. I have this feeling. Rams take an L. And then on Monday night, I do think Seattle at home can beat Minnesota. So, there you have it. I don't know why, but I feel like Arizona can beat the Rams that game, even though I'm not confident about it. Let's go to week 14. Can we go to week 14? There we go. Alright, Baltimore at Buffalo. I already mentioned Buffalo is still trying to fight for their playoff spot. I think cold December weather. I think Baltimore, though, actually has the better defense. I think Baltimore and John Harbaugh is really coaching for his job at this point. I think they pick up the win there. I think the Browns trying to keep pace with Pittsburgh. They beat the Bengals. I think the Jets trying to get into a playoff spot beat Miami. I think Houston, at this point, they're trying to control the AFC South. I think they beat Denver. I don't think Jacksonville has enough weapons to keep up with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are better. I think they pick up that win. New England, Kansas City, Sunday Night Football. You can see the Patriots at this point 10-2. Kansas City at this point 8-4. They're chasing the Chargers. They need this game. But December football is where Andy Reid makes his money. Maybe New England's not that sharp. This is late in the year, though. I think New England's going to maybe want to try to make a statement. Who knows? But I have a feeling at home New England doesn't drop this game. They beat Kansas City. I do think Oakland goes in. I think they beat Tennessee here. I don't know why. I think Oakland just has a good stretch to end next year with AB. I think that they just have the talent to beat Tennessee. I think this is where Tampa Bay, is really starting to fall off the mat here a little bit, because I do think the Colts, they're trying to get back in playoff contention. They beat Tampa Bay. Arizona, now they play Cleveland next week in this building. They're going to try to give Pittsburgh a show. Pittsburgh going down to Arizona late in the year. Mike Tomlin, I know this is going to shock a few of you. I do have Arizona beating Pittsburgh. I know, but that's just how I have it. All right, Dallas, Chicago, Thursday Night Football. December, cold, home, Chicago. I think that's easy money. Carolina at Atlanta. I think this is where Atlanta once again establishes themselves. Same thing with Green Bay here over Washington. Now, you can see the Falcons are 9-4. Saints are going to try to stay 2 games back over San Francisco. We're starting to lose a little bit. I just don't think that San Francisco's ready. I think the Saints have started to turn things around. Drew Brees trying to push for that one last playoff spot. Vikings beat the Lions. Then let's see here. Side of that game, Seattle going to LA. You look at the records here. Seattle 6-6. The Rams 7-5. Rams, earlier this year, I believe I picked them to beat Seattle in Seattle. I did, because Seattle's 0-3 in the division. I think Seattle kind of wants payback. And I think late in the year, the Rams, who don't have a great home field advantage in LA, I think Seattle can beat the Rams on the road. And then I do think the Eagles are just punishing the 1-11 New York Giants at this point, who go to 1-12, and the Eagles go to 10-3. Let's go to Week 15. Jets, Ravens, Thursday Night Football. You can see at this point, Baltimore is 6-7. The Jets are 8-5, fighting for their playoff lives on a short week of rest. Baltimore, though, they're well coached. They have a good defense. I think that defense rattles Sam Darnold. The Ravens get to 7-7 on the year. New England will beat Cincinnati. There's no question there. Even though they're division rivals, I don't think Denver is close to Kansas City. I think Kansas City wins that game. As I mentioned, at this point, I think Buffalo is starting to deteriorate a little bit. I got Pittsburgh at home. This is interesting here. Houston at Tennessee. Houston wins this game. They all but clinch the division. Tennessee, though, as I mentioned, they're well coached. And they're pretty much where they should be at this point in the year. I think they get to 7-7. I do think they beat the Houston Texans. Jacksonville at Oakland. Oakland, I think, picks up another win. And they start getting a little bit of momentum towards next year. They're 6-8. That's not bad after where they started. They should be a little bit more improved than last year. Miami at the Giants. The battle of like the 2 worst teams in football. You got 1-12 versus 1-12. At home, give me the Giants. I think their rosters are a little bit better than the Dolphins. Browns at Arizona. We already saw what happened last week, where Pittsburgh lost to Arizona. I think the Browns are going to want to prove something. I think Baker Mayfield's going to want to prove something to Cliff Kingsbury. I got the Browns at Arizona. Minnesota at Los Angeles. Well, I got the Chargers. I just think they're better. That drops Minnesota to 5-9. Indianapolis at the Saints. We already mentioned the Colts trying to fight desperately for that wild card position, but we see the Saints. They're also trying to fight for a wild card position in the NFC. I think the Saints start getting on in the dome. This is a tough game to call, man, because I think the Colts are a well-coached defensive team. But I think late in the year, the Saints can pull this out. Tampa Bay at Detroit. I'm going to go and pick the Lions in this game. I think the Lions, are one of those teams, take advantage of their schedule late in the year, maybe get some wins off their plate. And I think Tampa Bay at this point is looking for a draft pick after starting off so hot. I think they falter towards the end of the year. I think Green Bay just puts away Chicago. I think they clinch the North with this win. They go to, that would be 12-2, and Chicago would drop to 8-6. I just think Green Bay is better. Seattle, they always play well going into Carolina. I think that they can win that game and kind of take Carolina down to a 6-8 year. At that point, I think Will Greer could potentially be the starter for Carolina going into next year. Philadelphia at Washington. Dwayne Haskins will probably start for the Eagles by this point. Or for the Redskins, excuse me. Why am I just screwing up today? Dwayne Haskins will start for Washington, but I think Philadelphia gets the win. We got Carson Wentz. We don't have Dwayne Haskins. Atlanta, San Francisco. This is a big 4 o'clock game positionally. You got Atlanta at 9-4. You have San Francisco at 8-5 with Seattle and the Rams right on their tail. Will San Francisco and Jimmy G be able to handle the pressure? Can Atlanta go in there and beat them and just solidify the NFC South? Absolutely they can. I got Atlanta winning. Rams at Dallas. That game was close last year in LA. I think Dallas at home. I think that they just want to get back in the playoff race. And they do. Dallas wins that game. Let's go to week 16. Now we're going to really pay attention to playoff standings. Browns at the Ravens. Browns trying to knock Baltimore right out of the playoffs. As you can see, they're 7-7. A lot of these teams are 7-7. With the wild card, think Kansas City at 9-5. And the Browns at 10-4. So these 7-7 teams are going to have a hard time getting in, but they're going to fight. Browns get the win. I do think the Chargers do bury Oakland. Cincinnati at Miami. Now, I do think the Dolphins are trying to tank. I think the Bengals get their 3rd win of the year. That's a terrible game, man. Pittsburgh at the Jets. Cold, late in the year. Experience. I think the Jets, unfortunately, compete for a wild card spot. They take a back seat, though. Pittsburgh gets the win on the road. New England, you can see they're 12-2. They have the division locked up. They don't have the conference locked up, though. They do there with that win. Detroit at Denver. Denver can pick up this win at home, cold December, that oxygen air. Houston at Tampa. We already mentioned that Tampa is really fallen by the wayside. Houston wants to control the AFC South. With a win, they clinch the South. They do that. Boom. I think Indianapolis does pick up a win over Carolina. Knocks Carolina back to 6-9. I think Atlanta, as you can see, with a win, will clinch the NFC South. Saints on the road, Tennessee, late in the year. That's a bad nightmare for the Saints. That's a bad schedule for them. I think Tennessee can win at home. Go to 8-7, knock the Saints also at 8-7. So you look at the standings right now. Wild card, Chicago is 8-6, is at 6 seed. The Saints are not out of it yet at 8-7. Dallas 9-5, but you got Seattle and the Rams also competing. You can see, I think the Rams are a little bit of a pullback team this year, but all these teams competing for the NFC West title as well. Chiefs at the Bears, Matt Nagy, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's always on December. Teacher over student. Rams at the Niners. This is the big game for the Niners to prove that they are the new king of the NFC West. Rams coming off a Super Bowl hangover. If Sean McVay is as good as what people say he is, though, the Rams get this win and just take San Francisco back a little bit. I don't know if they're ready yet to compete for the playoffs. Giants, Redskins. Redskins at home. Eagles Cowboys. Eagles solidify the NFC East with a W. Arizona at Seattle. Seattle fighting for their playoff lives. Get this win. And Green Bay at Minnesota. You know Minnesota's going to want this win. Green Bay has already clinched the North. They're still fighting, though, for playoff positioning. And Minnesota helped out Green Bay or Philadelphia last year by losing to Chicago. I think they help out Philadelphia again by beating Green Bay on Monday Night Football. Let's go to Week 17. Browns-Bengals. AFC North crown on the line. Browns win. They go to 12-4 on the year, and I believe that would clinch the North. Jets at the Bills. By this point, both teams are out of the playoff race. I think the Bills win at home. They go to 8-8 on the year along with the Jets. Chargers at the Chiefs. Winner takes the AFC West, I believe. See, the Chiefs win. Do they take the West? This is saying no, even though they're both on at 11-5, but I do think the Chiefs and Chargers split. I think the Colts finish off a good year, 9-7, by defeating the Jaguars. New England's going to rest their players. I still think with the rest they can beat Miami and get to 14-2. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I think Pittsburgh will be fighting for their AFC North lives, and they're not going to let what happened last year happen to them. Week 17. I think they do beat Baltimore. Tennessee at Houston. I think Houston kind of rests on their morals. I think Tennessee wins the game. They go to 9-7. I think Houston wins the South still though at 10-6. And then Oakland at Denver. I think Oakland's just a better team than Denver. Alright guys, let's finish this thing up. Just as a reminder, tomorrow I will be coming out with my NFL awards video. That's going to be more like a face cam video, like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, stuff like that. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. This has been a lot of fun. And reminder, these are just my predictions, and we'll see how they turn out. But let's finish the NFC side of this. So Atlanta, with a win and a couple losses, can get the number 1 seed. I think they're going to be playing for that, and I do think they do beat Tampa Bay. Washington at Dallas. Dallas, they are 9-6. Let's see. Let's just do hypothetical. Let's say Dallas loses, and then Chicago wins. Okay, they become the 5, Dallas becomes the 6. So I'm going to say Dallas is going to actually try to get the 5 seed. They win. Philadelphia is going to try to get the 1 seed. Green Bay has to lose for them to get the 1 seed. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants that to happen. I do think Green Bay becomes 13-3 along with Philadelphia, and I think that win by Green Bay over Philadelphia in Week 4 is what propels them to that number 1 seed. I do think the Saints beat Carolina or resurrect their season at 9-7. Chicago at Minnesota. I think Minnesota has payback for Chicago for what happened last year. I do think Minnesota does beat Chicago, and that right now puts the Saints in the playoffs at 9-7 going to Atlanta. Arizona at LA and San Francisco at Seattle. I do think the Rams win. They try to make a case. You can see right now they're 9-7. This game right here between San Francisco and Seattle. Let's see what happens. I'm curious. San Francisco wins. They win the division. They knock Seattle out. Seattle wins. Seattle wins the division. Rams are in. So no matter what, the Rams are in. I think Seattle kind of establishes themselves this year with the Jadeveon Clowney trade. This is his big game. The Niners fall just short. The Rams sneak into the playoffs at 9-7. And, by the way, that eliminates the Saints at 9-7. That's how I feel it goes. Now let's look at the conference standings. So, 1-6, New England, Pittsburgh, who barely squeaks out the Browns over in the division because of conference record. New England, Pittsburgh, Chargers, and this is why, because Chargers and Chiefs, their conference record. Chargers have a better conference record. So, because New England, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Houston. Then the two wild cards are tied with their division winners. But because of the better conference record, they get it. See, 7 seed is 2 games behind Tennessee and Indianapolis. Followed by that are the Jets and Bills. 2 improved teams, not there yet. Oakland, an improved team, not there yet. Baltimore on a draw's back, and then you got Denver, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and Miami at the bottom of the totem pole. In the NFC, Green Bay, 13-3. Now, Philadelphia does have a better conference record. Difference is Green Bay beat them in Week 4 to get that number 1 seed. Atlanta, 12-4. Seattle, 10-6. Dallas, a wild card at 10-6, couldn't beat up Philadelphia, and the Rams at 9-7. Barely squeak into the playoffs. You can see the Saints barely miss out. Chicago misses out by a game this year. San Francisco misses out by a game. Vikings are 7-9. They're okay. And then Carolina, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Arizona, all 5-11 bunched in there with Washington and the terrible Giants. So our playoff matchups. We will get Kansas City going to the Chargers, which is a rematch of this Week 17 game. Which, I'm curious, if we know that, and the Chiefs rest their players, there's no difference. So, I wonder if the Chiefs kind of rest their players. I'm going to stick it on Kansas City. I'm going to stick with my original prediction. But I'm just curious about that. And then the Browns go to Houston. That's an interesting game. In the NFC, Dallas goes to Seattle. The Rams go to Atlanta. So let's go to the wild card round. Browns at Houston. All right. This is how I feel. I really believe in my heart of hearts. Houston has a really good defense. Great quarterback. Their offensive line is garbage. So is the Browns. And I think Deshaun Watson propels them over Baker Mayfield. Bill O'Brien coaches a little bit better than Freddie Kitchens. And I'm sorry, Browns. You're eliminated. Kansas City at the Chargers. I mentioned when they played in Mexico earlier in the year, Chargers are better. Then they played in Week 17. So this is the first time they're actually going to play in LA. Like I said, you wonder if the Chiefs actually play their starters. Andy Reid's very good in first playoff games. Not going to get a wild card. This is a tough game to play, but I feel like, the Chargers are really good. The Chiefs are also really good. I don't love their defense. But for some reason, I think Andy Reid finds a way to get back to New England, and Houston goes to Pittsburgh. Dallas at Seattle. I think Seattle gets revenge on Dallas from last year. I think the Cowboys make the playoffs. They don't win a playoff game. The Rams and Atlanta is a close game. But I think Atlanta in the Dome, I think they're just a better football team this year than the Rams. They end up beating the Rams for the second time in the playoffs in 3 years. Now, divisional round that would be Kansas City at New England, Houston at Pittsburgh. Seattle would go to Green Bay, and Atlanta would go to Philadelphia. Houston, Pittsburgh. Interesting game here. But I think Houston going on the road, they're not used to it. Dome team. Pittsburgh gets the win. I don't think Belichick loses to Reid in the playoffs. I think New England wins. Sets up a Pittsburgh-New England AFC Championship. Atlanta, Philadelphia. Remember, Philadelphia beat them in Week 2, but it was barely in a dome. Atlanta has struggled against Philadelphia in the past. But as much as I hate to say it, I think Atlanta would be due for a win over the Eagles. Coming off a bye, I think Atlanta beats the Eagles. I know, you're all shocked. You're all shocked. I think Atlanta somehow beats Philadelphia. And Seattle, Green Bay. Seattle going out west. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay's had a great year. Seattle has a great year. These defenses aren't that great. I think the difference is Aaron Rodgers on a revenge tour. I think we get Atlanta at Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. So now let's go to the Conference Championship. Pittsburgh, New England, Atlanta, Green Bay. Rematch of Week 1. When I said New England owns Pittsburgh, it's hard for Pittsburgh to overcome New England, I believe. I don't think they're doing this situation. I think New England once again makes it back to the Super Bowl. And then Atlanta and Green Bay. This would be a tough battle. Green Bay, cold weather. Their defense, though, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold up. I think they're better. But I do think Atlanta can go into Green Bay, pick up a win, and we get a rematch of Super Bowl 51 between Atlanta and New England 3 years later. And I still don't think Atlanta gets the job done. I have New England winning the Super Bowl. I just don't think Matt Ryan is going to be able to play that well in the Super Bowl again. I don't think he can beat Brady. And I have the Patriots beating the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 54. With that being said, guys, make sure you leave a like, comment, leave a rate below on this video. Let me know what you guys think are your predictions below. I know it's a little bit crazy. I do have the Falcons in the Super Bowl. I have my buddy from Atlanta, Luke Silk. I'm hoping to get him on the radio show here soon, so we'll talk to him about that. But yeah, I know. Crazy predictions. I'm out here making crazy predictions, but it's just my predictions. I'm owning them to it. We'll see where I was right and where I was wrong at the end of the year. Thanks, guys, and I will see you all later. Peace. Let's move on to Week 4. Alright, so we got the Patriots and the Bills here in Buffalo. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think New England pulls out the win. Oakland going to Indianapolis. I got the Colts picking up their first win here. I got the Chargers going down to Miami and beating the Dolphins. I do have the Browns going into Baltimore and beating the Ravens. I think the Browns are coming up high off that Sunday night game. I think the Browns are better than the Ravens. Denver, Jacksonville, September, home. I got the Broncos over the Jags. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, that's the one of that game. You know Cincinnati's going to look for the first one of the year, but I do think they start off 0-4 because I think Pittsburgh is just better than them. I got Atlanta beating Tennessee. I think Atlanta's better than Tennessee, and at home I think Atlanta can go to 3-1 on the year. I do have the Chiefs going to Detroit beating the Lions. It's a trap game for them, but I think Andy Reid, September, get hot. I think the Chiefs start off 4-0. Carolina goes to Houston. Now, these are two very good football teams. Question is, which team do I trust better? I trust Deshaun Watson over Cam Newton. I think Houston's just a little bit better than Carolina. And at home, I'll take Houston. I think this is where the Eagles shut the first game. We always struggle against Aaron Rodgers. I think Matt LaFleur kicks off primetime game, second Thursday night primetime game with a win. Green Bay goes to 3-1 on the year. Let me close that out. Washington at the Giants. Is it going to be Dwayne Haskins versus Daniel Jones? Is it going to be Eli Manning versus Case Keenum? We don't really know. I think the Redskins roster is a teeny bit better than the Giants, so I'm going to pick Washington. Seattle at Arizona. I believe this is Arizona's first divisional game, and this is a tough one, but I'm going to go and pick Arizona, the upset at home. I got the Rams starting off to a good start, beating the Bucks. Vikings at the Bears. This is a tough one too, man, because I really do feel the Vikings can go into Chicago and beat the Bears. Do I think they will? No. And then I do think the Saints on Sunday Night Football get their first win of the year, beating the Dallas Cowboys, dropping the Cowboys to their first loss of the year. Let's go to week number 5. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I think that Pittsburgh is better than Baltimore, both of these teams coming on divisional games. I think Baltimore loses their second divisional game of the year in a row, and I got Pittsburgh winning this one at home. Tennessee, they need to get off to a good start, so I do think that they do beat Buffalo. They need to start off 2-3 and try to get back in that AFC South hunt. I think the Chargers beat the Broncos. I don't think that one's even close. Colts at the Chiefs. Like we saw what the Chiefs did last year to the Colts with Andrew Luck. Now they got to go up against Jacoby Brissett. Colts have a very tough schedule to start. I think they start off 1-4, unfortunately. I do think this is where Cincinnati gets their first win with Arizona coming into town. I think the Birds beat the Jets coming off the bye. I do think the Jets are an improved team. I think that the Eagles are better, though. Off that Thursday night game, they get a little bit more rest. Obviously, the Jets more rest. Philly, though, able to rest them a little bit as well coming off the Thursday night game. Jacksonville at Carolina. Sorry, Jacksonville, you're starting off 1-4 as well. I got Carolina. I think Oakland drops another one. I think that they go to London and just falter to the Bears. So let's see now. Oakland would start off 1-4. Could see Kansas City and the Chargers right up there at 5-0. Two of the best teams in the league again. New England at Washington. I'm going to go ahead and pick New England. I don't even know if that's close. Atlanta going into Houston. Now this would be a good football game, man. I think that both these teams are very evenly matched. Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson. I think Atlanta has, advantage a little bit in the running back department, offensive line, and I think defense a little bit in the secondary. I think in the dome, I think Atlanta goes into Houston and beats them. There's my upset of the week, I believe. Also, I do think San Francisco at home on a Monday night. I talked about this too. I think San Francisco is a much improved team. I think the Browns go in there off the high against Baltimore, going on a Monday night, lose to San Francisco. LA and Seattle on a Thursday night. Look, I'm not as big on Seattle as everybody else. You can see right now, currently, I have the Rams at 3-1. This will put Seattle in a tie for the NFC West lead, but I think the Rams go to 4-1. I do think the Vikings beat the Giants. Bucks, they always do well going into New Orleans. I think the Saints going on the eye of beating Dallas. Do they stay at home? Yes. But I think for some reason, I have this feeling Jameis Winston is going to throw a party, and New Orleans starts off the year 1-4 and a shock to the league. And then Green Bay at Dallas. Let's see, is this the, okay, that's not the Sunday night game. The Sunday night game is Colts and Chiefs. That might actually get flexed. Maybe for an Atlanta-Houston-like game or a Green Bay-Dallas game. But, Aaron Rodgers always owns the Cowboys, man. And that's what I think here. I think Green Bay ends up beating Dallas in Week 5. Let's go to Week 6. So Houston at Kansas City. This is a tough game. We all know we need in October. Maybe it starts to falter a little bit. Houston coming off a big L. I think Deshaun Watson goes in there. I think Houston goes in there. And I think Houston wins this game in an upset. I think that's Kansas City's first loss of the year. I think Baltimore rebounds after two tough losses and defeats Cincinnati. Tennessee at Denver. These are two physical teams. We don't know who Denver's quarterback is going to be at this point. Tennessee is, kind of playing for their lives, but they also are notorious slow starters. With that being said, I got Denver winning this game at home. Pittsburgh at LA. I think Pittsburgh comes into LA. I think that they make a statement after what happened last year. The debacle at the end. I got Pittsburgh winning on the road at the Chargers. Giants at New England. I'll take New England on Thursday night. Seattle going to Cleveland. I think the Browns are better than Seattle. Seattle traveling west to East Coast. I do have the Browns winning that game. Now, Washington and Miami. I think Washington's better than Miami. I'm going to take Washington. I do think the Saints rebound here against Jacksonville. At this point, Jacksonville might not have the option of anything but to go with a quarterback other than Nick Foles. I think the Saints do win this game, trying to respond back. This is a 4:25 game here. Cowboys at the Jets. Look, as I said before, I think the Jets are an improved football team. But with that being said, I think the Cowboys are better. And at this point, the Cowboys on the year are 3-2. They're coming off 2 losses. The Jets are 2-2. They just dropped down to 2-3. Carolina at Tampa Bay, a rematch from week 2. This one is in London. I think, I had Carolina winning at home. Now I'm going to just pick Tampa Bay, trying to get their revenge on a neutral field. I think my Birds are better than the Vikings. I'm going to pick the Birds to get the revenge over the Vikings from last year. Arizona, at this point, they're 2-3. They're trying to tread water. Atlanta's coming to town. They're on. They still don't have Patrick Peterson, though. And that's why Atlanta's going to win this game in the Dome. Atlanta has a lot of road dome games to start, which is also to their advantage. San Francisco at LA. I think that this is the game San Francisco says we're back. They're coming off on a Monday night game. I think that they just come off, off pure adrenaline after beating the Browns. I think that they go in LA and beat the Rams to show the world that the San Francisco 49ers are back with Jimmy G at the helm. And then Lions at Green Bay. I got Green Bay on a Monday night. Okay, and then let's go to week 7 here. We got Kansas City at Denver on a Thursday night. I think Denver once again picks up a win here. And I do think that Kansas City drops a little bit. As we know, Andy Reid notorious for that October-November lowish. I think Denver does win here on a Thursday night. Jacksonville at Cincinnati, both 1-5 teams. Terrible game. I'm going to pick the Bengals at home. Bills coming off a bye. I think they do beat Miami at home. Texans at the Colts coming off a bye. This is a game that, I'm sorry, Jacoby Brissett's good. The Colts are good. I do think that the Colts end up winning this game and trying to crawl back in that AFC South race. Chargers at Tennessee. I think Tennessee wins here. I think this is where Tennessee maybe starts making a case for themselves. And the Patriots at the Jets on a Monday night. This is where I think New England does drop their first game. I think the Jets go to 3-3, trying to make a case for themselves to battle for a wild card position. Oakland coming off a bye. They go to Green Bay. I got Green Bay at home. I also got Seattle at home over Baltimore. So yes, I do have all home teams so far. And I'm sticking with that theme because I think the Rams dropped their second straight game. And I think Atlanta starts 6-1 on the year. Arizona at the Giants. The Giants don't have a win yet. I think they pick up their first win here. I think another team picks up their first win here as well, and I think that team is the Lions. I think they always play well against Minnesota, division rival. San Francisco, going to Washington, West East Coast. But I think Jimmy G comes up huge here in this performance. I think that's a win for San Francisco. I think Chicago, coming off a bye, does beat the Saints. And now we're looking at Philly and Dallas on a Sunday night for basically control of the NFC East. And I think the Eagles establish themselves and they go to 6-1 while the Cowboys stay at 4-3. Let's go to week 8. We got the Jets and Jaguars from Jacksonville. I think the Jets, they're on their Monday night win against New England. Then they take a low here and they lose to Jacksonville. Jacksonville gets their second win, of the season. Oakland going to Houston. You can see at this point, Oakland desperately needs a win. They're 1-5. Houston, though, is also stuttering. They need to get back on track. I think they do. Colts beat Denver. If you guys saw my Brandon's World with Sean Fitzgerald this past Friday, we made a little bet on the Browns-Patriots game. There's no way the Browns win this game. I got New England winning it. I got Pittsburgh beating Miami. Easy money. Chargers going to Chicago. Now, this is an interesting game because Chicago, as you can see on the schedule, they're 5-1. They have a good defense. Do I trust Mitch Trubisky? No. Brothers is defensive coordinator. The Paganos. Chuck, of course, on the Bears side. John on the Chargers side. I think the Chargers are just a little bit better of a football team. I think they go West East Coast and shock the Bears on the road and get that done. I think the Eagles, third straight road game coming up beating Dallas on a Sunday night, take the L to Buffalo. Zach Taylor, well, he came from the Sean McVay coaching tree. Yeah, the Rams get back on track here with this win. Bucks coming off a bye. Now they are 4-2. They get off to a good start. Tennessee, though, is starting to heat up. They beat the Bucks at home. This right here, the Sunday night game. Green Bay at Kansas City. I think Kansas City is starting to reel a little bit. They need to get back on track. They've lost a couple games now. I do think they beat Green Bay on a Sunday night at home. I think the Vikings pick up their third win of the year to go to 3-5. Seattle at Atlanta. Atlanta at home. They're always showing that they are back as one of the best teams in the league. However, they tend to have a little falter here. And as you can see, Seattle is 3-4. I think they need to get back to that 500 margin. I think they win that game. Giants and Lions. This is a tough one to call between two really bad football teams. I think the Lions are a little bit better. Saints at New Orleans. I think the Saints pick up their third win of the year. And I do think here that San Francisco can beat Carolina, even coming off a bye. Like I said, I think San Francisco is one of the most improved teams in the league this year. Don't trust Cam Newton's health. I got San Francisco winning this game and Carolina falling to 3-4. Alright, and now we are halfway through the NFL season here in Week 9. Just as a reminder, guys, I am using a free software to record this that only records 15 minutes at a time. So if I have to keep looking down at my recording or you see something like that, that is why. Or if you see any like quick little editing marks in this video, that is why. But here we are. We're at Week 9. As you can see, Houston, they are at Jacksonville in London. Jacksonville always plays well in London, and I do think they get this win here. I think that they get their third win of the year. They're not going to be a playoff team, but they're trying to knock Houston down off the mantle. I think Miami gets their first win here in Week 9. I think against the Jets, you're not used to that Heat going down. I know they're a terrible team, but I do think if they get one win, it's here against the Jets and Sam Darnold, and making Colin Cowherd cry over Sam Darnold. Colts at the Patriots, or at the Steelers, excuse me. I saw Pittsburgh, and for some reason I thought that meant Patriots. I got the Steelers winning here. I think that they're better than the Colts. If they had Andrew Luck, I'd give the Colts a better shot, but this is, again, one of those games where if you don't have Andrew Luck, unfortunately, you're going to probably lose that game. I do have the Browns going into Denver and beating the Broncos. I think this is where Denver, who at this point is going to be a 4-4 football team, I think this is where they start to falter. And I think the Browns see that the Steelers won and realize they have to keep pace. I think they win that game and go to 5-3 in the first half. I think New England beats Baltimore coming off a bye. I believe that's a Sunday night game. Yes, it is. And even with that factor, I think New England's better than Baltimore. I think Buffalo beats Washington. Maybe at this point you put in Dwayne Haskins because Washington is 2-7. But I think Buffalo's still better. I do think that Kansas City, Minnesota, I think this is a tough game to call because, as I said, I think Kansas City, they normally go through a November drought. I think Minnesota can go in there and win this game. Do I think it'll happen, though? No, I think Kansas City wins this game. Tennessee at Carolina. Again, this is all going to depend on Carolina's health. Tennessee, at this point, is a 4-4 football team. They're pretty average. I don't know if they go on the road. I think Carolina wins that game. I think Oakland gets their second win of the year by beating Detroit. Green Bay at the Chargers. This is a 4:25 game. Aaron Rodgers coming back home to Cal. I do think that this is a typical Charger letdown. I think that Green Bay actually wins this game. San Francisco at Arizona. San Francisco, as you can see, is 6-1. They're coming out some big wins. But Arizona, Kyler Murray, Thursday night, first time you see him. I think Arizona does get that win. I think the Eagles beat the Bears. I think we're just better than them. Tampa Bay and Seattle. This is a 4 o'clock game as well. I think Tampa Bay, I think this is where they start to fall back to earth a little bit. I think Seattle, this is where they start to make their run late in the year. This is where good teams start to occur. And then I do think the Cowboys beat the Giants coming off a bye on a Monday Night Football. Let's go to Week 10. Chargers at the Raiders on a Thursday night. Again, I think the Chargers do take another L here, and I think Oakland shows up on a Thursday night. I think I think they get their third win. Maybe they start to feel themselves a little bit. So there you go there. Baltimore at Cincinnati, coming off a bye. Baltimore needs this win to kind of stay in the playoff race a little bit. I think they get it. Buffalo at Cleveland, I think the Browns are just better. I think this is where the Browns maybe start to get on a roll with a good win there. Vrabel against Andy Reid. Look, we all know how Kansas City is. Late in the year, though, Tennessee, good football team. I always mention Andy Reid's odd starts, and then October, November, they struggle a little bit. I think Tennessee gets that win there. I do think the Colts win this game against Miami to go to 4-5, starting to get maybe a little bit back in that AFC South hunt. Giants at the Jets. I think the Jets get back on track with a win. Who knows? We could be seeing Daniel Jones by then. Rams coming off a bye, going to Pittsburgh. Now the Rams have kind of folded a little bit. They see San Francisco coming. But as I said, I think the Rams take a step back this year. I have Pittsburgh winning this game at home. Lions at the Bears. I think the Bears are just better. Arizona I think, off that Thursday night game, they get a little bit more rest. But I also feel like that NBA is going to know what to do with this offense by now. And Arizona is going to be on the road. I got Tampa Bay winning that game. I got Green Bay at home defeating Carolina. Atlanta and New Orleans both coming off byes. Always a shootout down in the Bayou. I do got the Saints at home beating the Falcons. I feel like they always switch spots. I feel like that they always win at home. So I do got New Orleans winning there. Minnesota at Dallas. Again, Minnesota 3-6. They're trying to fight for their playoff lives. They don't know what they have in Kirk Cousins at this point, but Cousins always struggles against Dallas. And in Jerry's world, I do feel like Dallas does get that win. And then San Francisco hosting Seattle on a Monday night. This is a big game for San Francisco. They're going to be pumped. They're going to be riled up. I do feel like they get this win. And I do think realistically, you could look at only one road team winning in Week 10, and that being the Baltimore Ravens. I know it probably won't happen, but these are just my predictions. This is how I see things happening as of right now. Let's go to Week 11. Pittsburgh at the Browns. This is the big Thursday night game, basically for control of the AFC North. I think the Browns get this win. Jacksonville coming off a bye. They want to try to get back in the AFC South on, but Jacoby Brissett and the Colts starting to get hot. They close that door on Jacksonville. Buffalo going to Miami. I think Buffalo still can get that win done. Houston at Baltimore. This is a very close game to call because Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, they're going to want to try to stay in that AFC wild card hunt. But then you're also going to look at Houston. They're starting to falter order. They need to keep that AFC South lead. I think they have the better quarterback. I think they have the better team. I think Houston goes on the road and defeats the Baltimore Ravens. Cincinnati at Oakland. I think the Raiders win this game as well. I think they have a very soft spot in their schedule. Kansas City at LA. I do feel like the Chargers are better than the Chiefs, even if this game is being played in Mexico. I just do feel that way. The Chargers are better than the Chiefs. I think Chargers get the win. Defensively, I think they're just better. Offensively, I think they can match with them. Jets at Washington. Washington coming off a bye. Maybe they play Dwayne Haskins. But if you look at the Jets' record here, they're 4-5. They're trying to stay relevant in the wild card race. You look at the Chiefs, they're 7-4. The other wild card team, 7-3. So, 5 wins is kind of pushing yourself back. Buffalo's at 6-4 at this point. The Jets really need a win to kind of stay in contention. And I do feel that they get it here over Washington. Denver coming off a bye. They're going to lose to Minnesota. Minnesota's going to get a win there. New England going to Philadelphia. I'm prepared for Tom Brady to crush my heart. I got the Patriots beating us, unfortunately, in that game. Now, Saints at the Bucks. You can see all of these teams are part of with Atlanta. I trust Drew Brees over Jameis Winston late in the year. I got the Saints beating the Bucks and trying to get back in a wild card spot in the NFC South after starting off so poorly. Dallas at Detroit. I got Dallas winning that game. I have Atlanta, Carolina. Now, this is an up game. Atlanta coming off of Washington, New Orleans. Another road game here against Carolina. The question here is going to be all about Cam Newton's health and if he's healthy. And I do feel like that Carolina, though, over the years has Atlanta's number. So I'm going to pick Carolina. I do think San Francisco beats Arizona. And I do think that the Rams are better than the Bears overall. And I think in LA, the Rams can get that win because I just don't trust Mitch Trubisky. Let's go to Week 12. In Week 12, big game, Thursday night, Colts Texans. Basically, at this point, for control of the AFC South after Houston got off to that hot start and Indianapolis has battled back. Indianapolis has to win this game. I feel like Deshaun Watson, the franchise quarterback, pulls for Houston, wins that big game. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. I'm going to go in and pick Pittsburgh because they need to keep tabs with the Browns. I got Buffalo over Denver. I think this is where Buffalo is, again, trying to make their case for a potential wild card spot. They're going to be a better team than people realize this year. I got the Browns winning at home over Miami. Now, the Jets, after that win last week over Washington, trying to keep themselves in the playoff hunt. You got Oakland coming to town. I think the Jets defense is just a little bit better. And I'm going to go in and pick the Jets at home. I'm also going to go in and pick Tennessee at home over Jacksonville. Coming off a bye, I think they're better than Jacksonville. And I think Jacksonville falls to 3-8 on the year. Dallas at New England. I'm going to go in and pick New England over Dallas. Baltimore at LA. I'm going to go and pick the Rams. I think they're just better than the Ravens. I dropped the Ravens to 4-7 on the year. Giants coming off a bye at the Bears. Maybe they're playing Daniel Jones at this point. Who knows? Bears, though, are trying to play for a playoff spot. And I do think they get it done at home. Now, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. This is going to be a close game because Tampa Bay is starting to falter, but they still have a chance at the NFC South. Excuse me. Going to Atlanta now at this point. I think Atlanta, though, they realize they need this game after losing a couple games in their division. They got to win the game. They go to 7-4. Detroit at Washington. I think Detroit's just better than Washington. I think that they can win a game on the road, even if Washington is playing Dwayne Haskins. I do think that drops Washington to 2-9 on the year. Carolina going to New Orleans. I never trust Carolina against the Saints. I'm going to pick the Saints. And as you can see, the Saints now are trying to make a case for themselves in the NFC South. Green Bay at San Francisco. That's a 4:25 game because the Sunday night game is indeed Seattle and Philadelphia. I think Aaron Rodgers come back to San Francisco as well, back in the California area. San Francisco is a young team. Jimmy G. I think Aaron Rodgers having a great year. I think Green Bay can win that game on the road. And then, we always struggle against Russell Wilson. But I think this Eagles team is really good. You look at the standings right now. Philadelphia is 7-3. Dallas is 7-4. San Francisco is 8-3. The Rams are 7-4. Seattle is 5-5. Seattle loses this game. They're probably out of the playoff race. I think that happens because I think that the Eagles finally overcome Russell Wilson in this game. They get the dub and move to 8-3 on the season. Week 13. We have the Jets at the Bengals. I think the Bengals at this point go to 2-10. Kansas City coming off a bye. I do think that they beat Oakland. Tennessee at the Colts. Now, this is a tough game. The Colts, the Titans, they never got past Andrew Luck. They really need to win this game to prove that, well, they can actually beat the Colts. But I think Jacoby Brissett and the Colts really want to get in that playoff race, and they win this game. Chargers going off a bye, going to Denver. They know out of Denver isn't the pass rush, but they are better. They're used to the altitude. Chargers win that game. I do think the Steelers can beat the Browns at home, and I think they split the series, and that puts Pittsburgh above the Browns in the AFC North standings. New England going to Houston. This is a tough game, man. As we know, Houston, they have the good defense. They play New England of the best. New England, they have a tendency to falter here or there. So I'm going to go in and pick the Texans.